Hello, and welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Shariann.
So today we're going to be talking about trust along the cancer journey, and really one of our most powerful tools that we have in our curriculum and our training, which is powerful listening. But before we get there, let's get grounded. Shariann, will you PESH for us?
Sure. So let me get grounded in this moment with PESH. So physically, I am a 3.75. Emotionally, I am a 4.3. Spirit, 4.5. And my hope is 4.6. My word that describes me in this moment is calm.
Okay, my turn. Physically, I am a 4.35. Emotionally, I am a 4.45. Spirit is 4.3 and hope is 4.25. And my word is, what did you say, calm?
I did, but it can be yours too. Okay, trust. So what comes up for me is, what is trust?
What is trust to me? Trust feels like letting go and just like deeply, innately knowing that it's going to be all right. And I think trust comes with less expectations. I'm not going to say no expectations. Trust feels like when you're actively choosing, when you really know that you trust someone, it's like you're choosing to just let go and release like the tension in your body. Your nervous system relaxes. You can breathe again. Yeah, like there's less tied to the outcome and more just like a deep belief that everything's going to go the way that it should, or that you have the resources to handle whatever comes next. A lot less controlling. It feels like the opposite of controlling, and not the opposite of like being in control, more just the act.
Yes, I get that. And so what came up for me when you first started talking was the act of doing a trust fall. I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's when there's a bunch of people behind you and you stand with your back towards them and you put your hands here so you don't kind of grab for anything. So you put your hands here and you close your eyes and you just, like what you said, let go, and you just fall backwards. And if there is that moment when you're just about to let go, like you said, when you're about to tip, and it's like there's that unknown, the unsurety, but you're kind of like enveloped with trust. It's like, okay, I'm leaning into trust. I'm leaning into trust that they're there, that they're going to catch me, that they have my back. That feeling. It's always, when it's a created scenario, you're always caught. And it's to have that sensation of letting go and falling back, because feels like the most vulnerable position. It's like, I can't see what's going to happen. I'm not really sure what's back there, but I trust that I will be caught, that I am safe, that I'm not going to fall to the ground and hit my head. And that's an incredible feeling as I'm describing this whole exercise, because it takes a lot of personal trust. Like they could be screaming back there, "We got you, go, we got your back." But it's still that moment where you're just like tipping back and you're like, okay, I'm not holding on. It's that freeing, open place that you're talking about. And then just to know that you're held, that you're caught. It's like, it's almost magical to have that experience with yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, even in a group, to be able to do that, or even just with one person who's catching you, it does enrich the relationship you have with them, knowing that you can and that you've crossed that. I mean, when you said trust fall, I could feel my stomach do the flip thing, because that's how I personally feel when I've done trust falls, right? Like it's that tipping point where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen actually, because very well I've fallen into people fully trusting that they're going to be there and I hit the ground. But it doesn't matter actually if you're caught or not. Like what matters is that you relinquished the control and had trust that you were going to handle whatever happened after, or the trust that whatever happens, regardless of what it is, you'll be okay.
Right. So it's a wonderful analogy for stepping into the unknown on a cancer journey. Because it's totally unknown. Like, we know ourselves, but there's still this that feeling that you were describing is like, I don't know, because it's not all up to me
Hmm.
to relinquish, to not hold on, to not try to control. So when you're diagnosed with cancer, or when your loved one is diagnosed with cancer, you enter into this world of the unknown. The doctors don't really know how your body's going to react to what they propose. We don't know how the cancer is going to progress, which is why scans are so necessary, and tests. So there's unknown, unknown, unknown. And somewhere at some point, the patient and the caregiver has to relinquish control and say, okay, I have done what I can. I've created a group, whether that one's standing behind you or standing beside you, that I'm going to relinquish myself to, and trust that they're going to be there to support me, to help me, to catch me with whatever goes on. And then also knowing that I still have me. Like, so if things go awry, it's up to me to vocalize what's going on inside, because nobody else knows. That definitely needs to be articulated. I have a pain here. I'm feeling nauseous. I'm feeling not quite me, and then this is happening. And me, the communications is so important. That's my role. But then leaning into the people that I'm gathered and trusting them. Ooh, as I'm speaking all of these words, I'm like viscerally there. And I feel my heart beating a little bit faster, because the unknown is so scary.
Yeah. Well, I want to double click on something you said before too, but it also applies to this, is that the vulnerability. And so as you're talking about this too, it's um being trusting in a relationship with anyone, a connection with anyone, including yourself, is a practice in vulnerability and being with your vulnerability, especially when it's an interpersonal kind of connection, and you're speaking to someone and you're sharing this, whatever it is. To trust them is to offer up to be heard. And so when you're in this dynamic, when you're not heard, it's really, really hard to establish trust. And this comes even bigger when you're on a cancer journey, right? Because you're experiencing so many unknowns, and you want to put your trust in some people who have experience. And so to a certain degree, you do trust them just based on the experience, the reputation that they have. But there is a point where you directly speak with them, you directly have this relationship. They become your doctor, they become a part of your care team. And if you don't feel heard from by them, it's hard to really connect into that trust. And that's just your care team. When it comes to your coach, who I feel should be on your care team,
Hmm.
we teach our coaches how to build that trust super authentically. We're not saying give them all your credentials and tell them what they want to hear to build trust. It's nothing about that. And it's not playing to the other person, seeing, hearing, and getting them.
Yeah. It's, I mean, in a medical setting, credentials do matter. I mean, you do want to hear a little bit more about, how did they get their expertise? How long have they been doing this? How many, you know, am I your first patient, or have you been doing this for a long time? That matters in terms of instilling trust. But what you're saying matters more. Like,
Mhm.
if I have a doctor who I don't really feel gets me, like they're not really hearing what I'm saying. And when I say communications is so key, because they're relying on, without me talking and hearing what I'm saying and hearing what's underneath the words that I'm saying, they're just going by the medical results or test or some kind of knowledge base, but it's not directly from me. And as a human, just a human being, if I'm heard, then, and I know that you're really getting me, like you're getting what I'm saying, but you're getting me as a person. And it could be as simple as, you're sensitive, and so I understand that. So let's walk gently. Or you're scared and you have a lot of concerns. Let's take this one step at a time. I'll answer your question. It's all about you, medical team, doctor, seeing me so that I go, okay, I like this. I feel like he truly is on my team and is working for me and with me so that I can be treated and healed in the way that works for me. Because as human beings, if we don't feel heard, seen, and gotten, we feel dismissed and invisible. And so then we're going to leave and we're going to go find another person, a doctor, medical team, medical facility that does.
Yeah. Or it stifles healing, like you'll stay there, but you don't trust them. And so even going back, like, yes, we want a doctor who has experience, obviously. If it's their first day, we want to know what the experience is when they were learning at least, or where they had their residency or something like that. But when they come with all these credentials, but you meet them and they're like, okay, what's your pain? Okay, the nurse is gonna go see you now. That's like you said, the dismissive, and then that feels really incongruent. So it's like I feel like I can trust them because of what I know about them, but what I've experienced, it's not making as much sense to me. It doesn't feel in alignment. And then like I mean, cancer is such a hard experience, and we never want to discount that. So if a doctor doesn't hear you, it feels like even more effort to go find another one. And so you're like, oh, let me just stay here. I'm not happy. I, you know, this whole treatment, going through chemo, not a breeze, not easy. So much happens, like physically and then emotionally, mentally, spiritually, we're all about that. But so much is happening that the last thing that you really want to be thinking about is like, oh, like, do I even trust my doctor, who is the person who's leading the charge in my health and this facility and this care team? Like, do I feel recognized or even feel like I matter to them? Because, oh my God, could you, like, yes, they see thousands of people and like, you're just you're so much more than the diagnosis. It's not just them treating the diagnosis. You're a human, like you said. You have emotions, you have feelings, you're experiencing a huge life shift. Patients can be just a drop in the bucket for a care team because they're seeing so many patients who are, if they're specifically oncology, they're seeing a bunch of people with cancer. And so because they're seeing so many, it can almost feel diluted. Sometimes um, they are a little desensitized to it. And so if their team doesn't have the resources or um the resources to really approach you as that patient in that moment, being super present with you and even noticing nuances and having the words and the even training to be able to approach that, like you said, speaking to you in that specific way that you want to be spoken to, if they don't even have that exchange, as a patient it can feel dismissive. And it's so hard to establish trust that way because you want to. We all really want to trust the people who are treating us, the people who are putting our lives in their hands, obviously. But when we don't feel like that's there, it becomes just a missing piece that lingers, like, and then who in your life do you feel like is really hearing you? To some people it's just like, oh, that's just like everyone else, I'm not surprised, because not everyone has someone who truly like sees, hears, and gets them. And that's
Right.
something that we want to change at the Cancer Journey Institute, especially on a cancer journey.
Especially because it relates to healing. I mean, if you're tense because you don't feel like they're getting you, like they're really hearing you, but you almost like you have to scream or you have to put it in writing or you have to say it louder, you're tensing up. And so that tenseness doesn't complement the healing process. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel safe. You want to feel like you are cared for. And I'm not saying that, that the care team has to go and like, we care about you and all of that. That they don't have to do that. It can be as simply as words that reflect who you are. So And that means that whoever is speaking to you and seeing you gets to say verbally what they're seeing. So you seem nervous right now. What's going on? You're seeing, I feel you tense up. What's that? Wow, that'll go a long way. And we're just saying a sentence, but it requires the individual who's connecting with you to also be vulnerable. And that's not an easy place for this clinical setting where, like you just said, I see many, many people and it's hard to maneuver around all these emotions that people have. And so it's easier to put up a wall and treat the physical, treat the body because that's your job, but it's not. It is, yes, your job, and to ensure the possibilities of that treatment working to the best. And that takes a little moment of saying, "Oh, you feel nervous. There's anxiety here. What's going on?" And giving them a few minutes, even if they keep talking, you're like, "Okay, well, this sounds like it needs to be addressed," or "How do you feel right now? Because I need to take us to the next place, which is about your body." Even just giving them 2 minutes to say and to feel heard and communicated at the same time is like, okay, my trust meter just went up because you took the time to hear me.
Yeah, that's exactly where I went to. And also the questions that you're asking or the recognition is like when in general we're talking, not just you and I, but I feel like this is a cultural conversation of just the like, how are you? Right? Like right here is a perfect place to not ask, how are you? It's to ask like, how are you really? And to provide that space for them to just like go off and like let go, and it might be a little expressive, and help them kind of release, honestly, probably a lot of anxiety because they have cancer and they're at the doctor's office. Like, give them an opportunity to have that space and feel listened to for even a few minutes. It really doesn't, you don't have to listen to them talk about their grandchildren for an hour or something like that, but you can steer the conversation back to, how are you right now in this moment? And even them being able to get that off the top of their forefront, to release some of the anxiety, to feel comfortable with you and like you do actually care, right? Like when someone asks, how are you really? Even if you're not prepared to answer, it's like, oh, but they care enough to ask. And it's just even that small bit develops that trust and that relationship. And I know this from coaching. Once you're able to kind of process some of that, you are so much clearer about what your body actually is feeling. So if
Hmm.
someone walked in and went, how's your body feeling? What's your pain management? When I'm coming in for whatever appointment I'm supposed to be in for, like I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, what's wrong with me this time? Something might be wrong. Let me tell them about all the medications. Let me tell them how chemo's going and how that's feeling, blah blah blah. But if all they want to know immediately when they come in the room is what's your pain, or something like that, it's like, I don't know. I got all of this going on up here. I have no idea what's going on in my body. So to have 5 minutes at the beginning, maybe 10, who knows how long people really need to just express, it really will help them tune in and give you a better read of what they're actually experiencing and what you actually want to know to be able to treat what's here right now.
Right. I just had this epiphany. It's like, I know that the doctors don't have a lot of time to do that. And maybe it's somebody on the care team, or maybe it's a cancer journey coach. But to have somebody there for their appointment and have a very short 10-minute interaction with somebody who has some coaching skills, or someone part of the care team, or for them to have 10 minutes with a cancer journey coach before their appointment, where they get to kind of just, it sets the tone, sets the stage for what they're about to go into. Because I know that the doctors oftentimes only have 15 minutes with them in a examine room. So it's like that feels really short. So if there's somebody who can take care of just their mental health, but the mental, the emotional, and the spirit. And it is really quite amazing what we can do in 10 minutes. And then hand them over to the doctors so that we can address what's going on. It's just more of a primer, but also to kind of create this environment of trust. I've got people who care about me. I have people who want to know how I'm doing. And I got to say, when you said, how are you doing really? Just asking that really takes it to a whole nother level. Just one word. And then pausing and caring or taking the time to listen.
Yeah. Is that your takeaway?
Kind of feels like it. It's a nice place to like pause because I could see it happening and I could see the benefit to the end use to the patient and even to the caregiver to hear or maybe be part of the discussion. It's a place where they go to be seen, heard, and gotten before they go into the clinical. It's like, I'm being taken care of here. And so it almost becomes like, oh, I get to talk to Alicia. Oh, I get to talk to Shariann before I go see Dr. So and so. Wow. Like
Yeah.
it becomes not a tense or scary thing. It becomes a supportive, let's continue with my healing.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. My PESH for this moment is physically, it's fascinating to be able to just say things out loud that matter to you, that raises your resonance. So physically I'm 4.25, emotionally 4.45, my spirit's 4.65, and my hope is 4.7. And my word is possibility.
Okay, my takeaway. I feel like typically, especially if we're talking about the relationship going in for a doctor's appointment, I think that actually a lot of these moments lack a lot of trust as they exist now. And not because they don't trust the efficacy or knowledge of the institution or the doctor or whoever is on that care team. It's just the anxiety that comes with going to the doctor will exist regardless if it's a cancer visit or not. And I think trust is the perfect remedy to that. And the trust that is developed when you're really seen and you're not just like, oh, if I survive this, it's like it adds to the survival rate of the institution and I just become another number, a successful number for them, if that's the case. But hospitals aren't generally seen as like happy places. They're not typically seen as very warm. Honestly, they're seen as very cold. And I totally understand the perspective of like a doctor or a nurse who have seen so much pain and illness and suffering that it's easier to turn off their emotions and to desensitize. And I am not saying that that is wrong or bad. It is how they have had to cope. And historically, how they have coped. And so it feels like the next generation will just take on the next because that's what's worked. But I want to challenge that. Like, what if we try to have space to listen? What if we try to have space for that? I know that when I go to the doctor, when the actual doctor comes in, I feel like I have to have a written list of things I want to make sure I tackle. Because if you just ask me, what's going on today? I'm like, now I've forgotten everything. What's my name? Like, it's just, there's so much anxiety that comes with it. So if we are able to instill a little bit more love and care to the relationship with the patient and just taking those few extra steps to let them know that they care and that they matter, I think that could have a huge impact on the experience of cancer, period. Because what we've seen from anyone and everyone that has been on a cancer journey is that of course their mental health is affected. Like, of course emotionally they are affected. There's a reason there's so much toxic positivity in this industry. And this just sector of life is because we need it. We know that we need positivity because there's so much sadness and disconnection and anger and all of that here. And if a little piece of it could be remedied in something that they already do, I mean, I think that's something to invest in personally. Especially when you're going through cancer, it's like everything that matters is in the forefront and you know exactly what matters and you're not really willing to put up with things that that don't really see or fit into your life there. But when you're on cancer, when you're experiencing cancer, having that treatment, that medical treatment will always be present. So if we could lock them together, I do think that would be like the best and the most we could do for people going through one of the hardest experiences in life. And that's my takeaway. And my PESH, so physically, I am 4.4, emotionally a 4.6, spirit is a 4.4, and hope is a 4.3, and my word is connection. Sometimes I wonder if I've had a lot of the same word. One day we'll have to do a compilation just to see what all of our like wrap up words are. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.
Have a lovely rest of your day. And remember, you're more powerful than you realize.